things that I'm not even gonna say men in general. I'm gonna say black men.
Yeah.
Um, we have been taught against that.
From early adolescence.
Yes.
And it's bad that it's it's taught to us that way. And if you ask any parent that has like little kids right now,
Mm-hmm.
because I literally just had this conversation with a few parents, why you tell him that?
Mm-hmm.
They can't tell you the answer
Yeah.
because it's generational.
Yeah.
That's what was told to us.
Yep.
So that's what I'm telling them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but why?
Yeah.
Like we got to get out of this stigma of, well, this is what my parents did. So why don't you do something different?
Yeah.
Be your own person. Start your own generational traditions
Yeah.
or whatnot.
Because, like we talked about on last show, some things that our parents told us or didn't tell us, it didn't come with a handbook. So, whenever I got older, I had to unlearn a lot of things that was told to me by my mom.
Yep.
Not that she was a bad mom, but a lot of things that she told me that was probably good for that time, as time grew on, was no longer good for me.
Right. They don't apply to this new day.
I believe for young black men, young black boys, where the vulnerability and strength thing was spoken against majorly was in sports.
Yeah.
Because whenever you get tackled on the football field or whatever,
Yeah.
you you can't get in your feelings. Your coach gonna tell you walk it off.
Suck it up.
Yeah,
Get your ass back on the
you
sideline.
better not cry.
Right. Right. Real quick. So vulnerability is typically synonymous with weakness.
Yeah, yes it is.
And so that's why we look at it like it's a bad thing, but it's really the exact opposite. Vulnerability will
Yeah.
give you the ability to figure out your emotions and be able to speak on them and communicate them effectively, which is a big problem in our community.
Definitely is.
So vulnerability, we definitely need to reteach our kids that vulnerability is not a bad thing. It's not a negative thing to think about.
And what happens in teaching against vulnerability or making young black boys or young black men or young men in general feel that being vulnerable is a bad thing, it's just like my mom used to always tell me, pressure busts a pipe.
Oh yeah.
You could hold things in for so long and you can be good for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll have that one moment where, because you've been holding in for so long, that the wrong thing happens and it triggers you, and you will forget everything that you've ever been taught.
Yep.
Because you're at the point. That's just like if you was to shake up that soda right now.
Yeah.
In time you get finished shaking it up, you open it.
Yeah.
First of all, let me get out the room. 'Cause I ain't doing that whole fizz thing. Everything that's in that soda comes out, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's how that not being vulnerable thing works. After a while, you're going to explode.
Yeah.
But talk about the strength part of vulnerability.
Something I learned in therapy.
Oh, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah. Something I learned in therapy was that, and it's kind of touches on what you just said. It's better out than in.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the point of holding in all of your emotions? It's just gonna damage you.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more strength and courage to be open and be transparent and be vulnerable with people than it does to do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You're not strong for holding nothing in. If anything, that's your sign of weakness, because in doing that, you're keeping pieces of yourself and your emotions away from people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have so many men in relationships today when women are like, why can't you talk to me? They was taught against it.
Yeah.
So they feel like that's a sign of weakness. I don't want
Yeah.
to show you no signs of weakness. I'm gonna show you that I'm the man. I can do this. I can take care of anything that I think of. But the reality is, if you can't.
If you've never been taught how to apply yourself in a loving way or apply yourself to be vulnerable or to open up to somebody whenever that whenever you're with that person, because some females or some men in general, they just hard asses. Like, you don't even have to tell me how you feel. But
Mm.
whenever you get in that relationship where they're like, I want to know, talk to me.
Right.
Not even just relationships, friendships, because I know I get on your nerves, but I could give a flying flip. Whenever you're in those relationships or those bonds, and people see or know that you're going through something, and they reach out, but because you've been and you really, really want help.
Yeah.
You really want to be able to get this off your chest and say how you feel, but it's like we only get so far, and then we hear that from our childhood in the back of our mind that says, "Shut up."
Yeah.
You don't even have to tell them all this.
That or fear of what is this person going to do with this information. My whole thing is this, and I learned this between years of dealing with BS and being around my step pop. He don't keep nothing in. Don't care if it's good, bad, ugly. Don't care. And the reason for that was when he was younger, he used to keep a lot of stuff in, and it actually caused health issues for him.
Yes, it does.
Down the line, just from keeping stuff in. So he said, going forward, I'm just say everything.
Yeah.
So not only is it mentally damaging, it can become physically damaging.
Like a cancer that eats away.
Exactly. Just because you don't want to say something. Because you in fear of what you think people might think of you. I learned not to care what nobody think of me.
Yeah.
Whatever you think it twice. Don't care.
Yeah. I had to recently get there for many, many reasons, but because for me, thinking what people, caring what people thought about me or how people felt about me or who wanted to be around or who would communicate, it worked in two ways. It made me gain people who I knew was not going to be here for a long time. But it made me push people away who really had my best interest at heart. Because after I'd done what everybody else wanted me to do, and that still wasn't enough, so they left, I found myself by myself because the people who wanted to be around at that point, they were tired of being around because it was like, I'm here, but those other voices are so much louder in your life.
Yep.
So because they're much louder, I would much rather just move around.
Yep.
I am vulnerable now. I'm super vulnerable. Strength-wise, my strength is building. I'm stronger than put it like this. I'm stronger now than I was two years ago.
And that's good because that shows progress.
Yeah.
Any sign of progress, I'm here for.
So where did your counseling come in?
My counseling? You like when I went to therapy, you mean? I felt myself going crazy. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I felt like the world around me was just so different than what my life had going on. Like what I was experiencing. I'm like, there's no way that I just can't make sense of everything that's going on around me.
Yeah.
And I mean, heartache was part of that also. So I think I need to, start looking for a therapist. Now, I'm gonna always suggest when looking for therapy or help for yourself, find somebody that you can actually have some chemistry with.
Definitely.
Don't just find any therapist because they're a therapist. That's like eating any food just because it's food.
How do you feel about finding a therapist choosing a therapist that is along the lines of your own nationality?
Personally, you go with, this is my personal opinion, and Charlemagne, so sorry again for the Charlemagne reference.
The guy is brilliant.
He references...
He's a brilliant idiot.
He references it in one of his books. He references that he finds a therapist that's kind of going to help him go in a direction he wants to get to.
I listened to that, but you're talking about black privilege.
It's in there too, but he also talks more about it in Shook Ones. I wanted to know what it takes to elevate and be successful as a black man in America.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go find me a successful black
Yeah. Yeah.
therapist. And on top of that, I found somebody who was around my age who also wasn't from the same city.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a little bit different perspective, but they also know what I go through because everybody knows I'm not a Dallas native.
Mm-hmm.
And so since he wasn't a Dallas native, he knows what, the struggle of having to be in a new place, be in a new environment, being around different type of people.
Yeah.
The culture in Texas is just different than anywhere else you go.
It's very
by
different.
far. So looking for advice on how to navigate all of that, he helped me through it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a good therapist, you'll feel the chemistry. It'll be like you just talking to a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he just give me his personal opinion.
Whenever he gave you the personal opinion, how much effect did that have?
A lot. Because this is somebody who was where I was at one point and basically telling me how to get to where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Because he made it there.
Mm-hmm.
I was always told that if you want to get somewhere in life, that you follow the example of the people that been where you've been.
Yeah.
If you want to get somewhere, you can't follow the advice of somebody who ain't never been there.
Right.
It don't make no sense. You just basically following somebody else's opinion. And what is your opinion if you have no experience behind it?
And that's really, really big of course, in therapy is definitely a big thing, but that's also big in business.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in an actual field like, marketing, advertising, whatever your business is. I tell people for me, if I'm the smartest person in my group of people, I've outgrown that group.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing to say that I've outgrown that group. Some groups, some friends, some relationships you will definitely outgrow and you have to move on. But I've come to find out that being and we spoke about this in previous shows, having somebody on your team that'll challenge you.